You're settling in on the couch, getting ready for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and you're fully expecting to see every, spectacular goal and agonizing penalty.
Right, the full immersive experience.
Exactly. But what if the most crucial camera angles from the Canadian matches they just don't exist?
It is a pretty wild thought.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're unpacking a really fascinating academic analysis today, looking at the collision of sports, media, and geopolitics. Our mission here is to decode why a massive, silent media blackout is hitting the upcoming games in Canada.
Oh, well, before we really get into it, I think we need a quick disclaimer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our source material contains some pretty highly politically charged claims regarding FIFA and the U.S. administration.
Yeah.
So we are strictly neutral here.
Right, zero side-taking.
Exactly. We are just simply unpacking the viewpoints presented in this analysis so you can understand what's actually happening behind the scenes.
And what's happening is basically a massive invisible disruption, and it's orchestrated by a company called ProPics Canada. They're entirely boycotting coverage of the Vancouver and Toronto World Cup matches.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I think of ProPics as like the hidden plumbing of international media.
That is a great way to put it.
Yeah, they're a B2B, so a business-to-business giant. They don't broadcast directly to you at home.
Right, they just capture the raw footage.
The raw 4K footage, the editorial photography from the stadiums, and then they license those feeds out to over 120 countries. We're talking about a potential reach of 1.5 billion viewers.
It is massive.
They control the pipes, so if they shut the valve, the water stops flowing.
And what's fascinating here is the unique leverage of a B2B boycott.
Right.
Unlike a consumer network that has to obsess over fan ratings or advertisers, ProPics provides the actual foundational infrastructure.
Yeah.
By refusing to plant their cameras inside DC Place and BMO Field, they're effectively starving global news outlets.
Starving them of the localized imagery they need.
Exactly. It is a highly calculated move.
And they are taking a massive financial hit to pull this off. I mean, why walk away from such a lucrative event?
Well, the trigger was pulled on December 5, 2025.
Okay.
That's when FIFA awarded its first ever peace prize to U.S. President Trump.
Citing his efforts in brokering ceasefires in Congo and Gaza, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what does this all mean? Because I have to push back a little bit here.
Go for it.
A ceasefire sounds objectively good.
Sure.
Why is a company that just provides camera feeds suddenly playing ethics police over a sports organization's awards?
It comes down to how ProPics views the intersection of sports and global power. The source outlines that ProPics CEO James Cousineau believes FIFA has basically abandoned its neutrality.
Oh, so?
Well, he argues that FIFA isn't just handing out a trophy. They're using the massive cultural soft power of sports to grant moral legitimacy.
Oh.
Legitimacy to an administration that ProPics claims is simultaneously engaging in really aggressive actions globally.
Right, and the source points to a sequence of U.S. maneuvers to explain this stance, starting right in the Caribbean with Operation Absolute Resolve.
Exactly. So this is a maritime interdiction campaign aimed at drug trafficking.
Okay.
But ProPics really highlights the collateral damage here. They claim it resulted in 87 civilian deaths.
Wow.
Yeah, and they specifically cite a September 2025 incident where stationary Colombian fisherman, Alejandro Carranza, was killed by a missile strike.
And rather than viewing that as just an isolated military incident, the analysis connects that aggressive posture directly to U.S. economic maneuvers globally.
Right, like what happened a few months later with Ukraine and Russia.
Yes. In March 2026, the U.S. temporarily lifted sanctions on Russian oil in transit, basically to ease global energy prices.
Right, and ProPics argues this move gave the Kremlin the immediate financial liquidity it needed to just sustain its military operations.
Okay, I see.
So in their view, FIFA's award essentially whitewashes the ethical consequences of these really complex trade decisions.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just abstract geopolitics for ProPics.
No, it is not.
It is hitting Canadian business directly. Look at the 2026 Cuban crisis. In January, Executive Order 14380 was signed.
Which is what we call an extraterritorial sanction.
Right.
Meaning the U.S. was punishing companies operating completely outside its own borders. They basically sanctioned any third-party countries supplying oil to Cuba.
And this is where the mechanics of all this really click together. A major Canadian mining company, the Sherritt Corporation, operates heavily in Cuba.
And you cannot run a massive mining operation without fuel.
Exactly. By blocking oil to Cuba, the U.S. policy directly crippled a Canadian business.
Right.
So ProPics is looking at FIFA celebrating this administration while Canadian economic interests are actively getting squeezed.
Yep. ProPics is signaling they refuse to separate the game of soccer from the harsh realities of economic warfare and geopolitical expansionism.
So why should you care about all this? Because the media you consume, or, those stunning 4K replays you won't see from Vancouver and Toronto, are being actively curated by invisible corporate middlemen.
Middlemen who can quietly turn off the tap if they disagree with global politics.
Exactly. Which leaves us with a pretty wild final thought.
Oh, definitely.
If hidden business-to-business infrastructure companies decide to use their immense unseen power to enforce their own geopolitical ethics, well, who is ultimately deciding the reality you see on your screen?